So this is 2019, paper 1, question 1. So we'll start off there by looking at the question. So Emer earns a gross wage of 40,000 per annum with company A. Emer pays income tax 20% on income up the standard rate cut-off point of 35,300. She pays tax at a rate of 40% on the remainder. So that just means that the first 35,300 will be at 20% and everything that's left over will be at 40%. She has an annual tax credit of 1,650. Okay, we are asked there to work out how much income tax she will pay that year. Okay, so we'll just highlight key information there first of all. So we have her gross wage, which is her wage before tax. We have the fact that she'll be paying 20% on the first 35,300 and she'll be paying 40% on the remainder. And she also has a tax credit of 1,650. So first thing that we need to look at there is we need to look at what we're actually doing. We're going to get 20% of 35,300 and then we're going to get 40% of the remainder. So in order to work out what that remainder is, we need to work that out first, okay? So 40,000 subtract 35,300. And that will give us 4,700. Okay. So we can now work out our tax rates. So the first 35,300 is at 20%. So we need to work out what 20% of that is. So if we just type that into our calculator, 35,300 multiplied by 0.2. And the reason why it's 0.2 is because if I want to convert this is 20% or 20 per 100. If I write 20 divided by 100, I'll get 0.2. Okay, so anytime we convert a percentage to a decimal, we just divide it by 100. And if we type that into our calculators, we'll get a total of 7,060. Okay, so that's the first 35,300. We now need to look at the remainder. So we calculated the remainder to be 4,700. So I'll have to get 4,700 at 40%. Okay. Now, in order to work out what that is, I'm going to have to take the 4,700 and I'm going to have to multiply it by 0.4 because 40 divided by 100 will give you 0.4 as a decimal. So that gives us a total there of 1,880. So we now know the two rates tax we're paying. So tax at 20% will be equal to 7,060 and tax at 40% will be equal to 1,880. Okay, so that tells us our total tax. So we can work out our total tax from that. So our total tax will be when we add the two of them together. And the total tax, if I add the two of them together, total tax will be equal to 8,940. Okay, so that's the amount of tax I'm expected to pay, right? But we know that she gets a tax credit. So if she gets a tax credit, that just means a reduction. So think of a tax credit like a voucher. It's like a voucher from the government to say that instead of having to pay that full amount of tax there, we're going to give you a tax credit, which means we're going to leave you off 1,650, right? So in order to work out how much income tax she pays, we'll need to take her total tax and subtract the tax credit. Okay, so that's going to be equal to 8,940 subtract 1,650. And if we do that, we'll get our answer there, and our answer will be 7,290. So the answer there is equal to 7,290. And for that part of that question that year, there was 10 marks allocated to that part, right? So that year there was 10 marks allocated to part A of that question. So part B. In part B it says Emer pays her health insurance which costs her 1,500 net. Find her annual income after paying income tax and health insurance, i.e. her net annual income. Okay, so what we know so far is we know that she has a total pay of 40,000. Okay, so her total pay is 40,000. And we know that from part A. We know that her income tax, so the amount that she's to pay in tax, we know that is equal to 7,290 because you would have worked that out in the last part of the question. Okay. Now, what they're looking for is her net pay. Okay. So her net pay, and what net pay is basically how much pay you get after you've paid your tax. So your net pay is equal to your total pay minus your income tax. Okay, so we can see here that the net pay will be equal to 40,000 minus 7,290. Okay, and that will give us 32,710. So that's her net pay. So that's how much pay she has at the end of the year. So that's how much she'll have when all her taxes are taken out. Okay, what they're asking us for in this part of the question is her net annual income okay, and they tell us there that it's going to be, I'll just highlight that, her net annual income after paying her income tax and her health insurance. Okay, and the health insurance was 1,500. So what they're really looking for is her net pay subtract the insurance. Okay, and what that equals is 32,710. Take away the insurance, which is 1,500. Okay, so 1,500. And that gives you your answer there of 31,210. So my answer there will be 31,210. And for part B, that was worth 5 marks that year. Okay. So part C. So Emer is planning to change jobs. She is offered a job by company B with a gross wage of 38,000 and a bonus of 1,500, tax-free to Emer, to be paid by the company, which she would use to pay her health insurance. Okay. Her tax rates and credits will remain the same. Find out how much Emer's net annual income after paying income tax and health insurance will increase if she accepts the job in company B. Okay, so a lot going on there. So let's just have a look. So we have a gross wage, so we can highlight that, of 38,000. We have a bonus of 1,500, And again, that will pay off her health insurance. Okay, her tax rates and credits remain the same. Find out how much Emer's net income will increase. Okay, if she takes a job with company B. So we'll start off there like we did the last question. And obviously we've got two rates of pay. We've got the first 35,300 will be at 20%, and everything after 35,300 will be at 40%. So the first thing I need to do is find out what 38,500 take away 35,300 and see what value that is, and that should be 2,700. Okay, so I can now start working out my two tax rates. So the first 35,300 will be at 20%. Okay, so in order to work out how much that is, it's 35,300 multiplied by 0.2, which gives us 7,060. Okay, we now know that the remainder of that is going to be taxed at 40%. So that means that the 2,700 needs to be at 40%. Okay, so again, that's 2,700 multiplied by 0.4. And that will give us 1,080. Okay, so we've got our tax there. Our tax at 20% was equal to 7,060. And our tax at 40% was equal to 1,080. So our total tax should be equal to two of them added together, and that gives us an answer of 8,140. So that's how much tax she needs to pay. But we know she gets a tax credit, and the tax credit's of 1,650. So her tax payable will be equal to her total tax minus her tax credit. Okay, so her tax payable will be 8,140, and I'm going to subtract the tax credit, which we knew from the first part of that question was 1,650. And if we take that away, we'll be left with 6,490. So this represents the amount of money that she will actually have to pay in tax, because as we said before, a tax credit, we consider that to be a discount from the government. So she's expected to pay 8,140, but she has a tax credit that leaves her off 1,650. So the total amount of tax that she's expected to pay is 6,490. So that brings us to her net income, and her net income will be equal to her gross income subtract the tax that's payable. So take away the tax that is payable. And that is 38,000, and subtract 6,490 that we calculated there. And that will give us 3,000, or 31,000 I should say, 31,510. Okay. So that's her net income from company B. If we want to see the difference between them, so obviously we didn't have to factor in the insurance because the insurance is 1,500 or 1,500, but she said she was going to use the bonus that she got to pay that. So we could subtract the insurance of 1,500 and then add the bonus of 1,500, but we'd end up with the same figure, so there's no point. So to find the difference between the two companies, I need to take the salary from company A, which was 31,510, or from company B even, and subtract the salary from company A, which is 31,210. So the difference between the two salaries will be equal to €300. So the answer there is that she'll have a €300 increase if she was to move to company B. Increase. And that part of that question, part C of that question, that year was given 10 marks.